কাজ থেকে থাকে আপনি don't change your job right now. This is not the right time.
Stable jobs right now are going to be hard to come by.
যারা অফিসে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer. যারা হাসপাতালে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer. They are going to college they are your customer. তার যারা বিভিন্ন ক্লাবে যাচ্ছেন or পার্টিতে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer. তারা যদি they stop going তখন কিন্তু you will not going to have this customer. So ultimately it will have effect on you as well.
Hey, if I'm in a job today, right, maybe jumping to the next job, you might want to figure out how stable that company is, what they do. It's not just a job, right? Because if that company doesn't do well, if they're dealing with tariffs, all that stuff's going to impact everybody. In the construction business, I was looking at another job. I'd be very, very timid, very, very afraid to just jump in.
Where are we today? And why do you think we are here today? These two things, if you touch on it, I have follow-up questions on those.
Yeah, so I mean, you saw the huge drop in the market today, right? And that's really just predicated on that the, the labor market is not where we thought it would be. What I mean by that, right? We only added 73,000 jobs, right? Only. That's right. It was supposed to be 100,000. But what's
116
worse,
they were expecting.
Yeah, but what's worse is they revised the other month's numbers
May
to
and
almost
June.
nothing.
Right.
Right, we lost like
258,000 jobs.
Yep.
Subtracted.
Which is huge, which tells us, hey, we're not growing. We're actually, basically, we're not growing at all. We're basically at zero, right? So what does that tell everyone? Hey, if I'm in a job today, right, maybe jumping to the next job, you might want to figure out how stable that company is, what they do. It's not just a job, right? Because if that company doesn't do well, if they're dealing with tariffs, all that stuff's going to impact everybody. So I want everyone to just think about it. I know they might offer you a great new salary, but that salary might be short term. Yeah. And you don't want to be looking for a job, as you just heard us talking about the labor market. It's difficult.
Yeah, so if you are that person who's looking for a different job, maybe you have been offered a better salary, just like you said, you need to think twice.
Yes, and like the most important thing is, especially when you guys see what's going on in the labor market,
right?
And even like Caterpillar, which is a big, with construction,
right?
Like if I was in the construction business, I was looking at another job, I'd be very, very timid, very, very afraid to just jump in.
Okay, so the natural question would become like, okay, we were doing great. We had good numbers for the last administration. We had good numbers for January, first quarter, February, March, right? So what could have contributed to this downwards, path?
So I mean, look, obviously it's accounting for the stuff, but we got to realize something. These numbers, these are like looking back, right? So there's always a lag that comes in. Unfortunately, this was a huge difference than what they thought, and they usually use estimates like ADP payroll and all that stuff to come up with these estimates. And now, once the hard data came in, they readjusted everything to basically zero.
Right. So that means job creation has come to a halt.
So basically, nobody's hiring anybody, basically.
Nobody's hiring.
That's the best way to look at it,
There's a simple word, nobody's hiring.
Right.
On top of that, if you're a federal worker, most likely you're going to lose your job if you fall into that chopping block.
Right. But this is not government payroll.
Yeah, that's not.
Right? This is all private payroll, right?
Payroll, non-farm.
Correct.
Yes.
So I mean, you got to think about, look, everybody needs to think about their family, what they're doing, what their future is going to look like. Stable jobs right now are going to be hard to come by.
Right. So stay where you are. But some people might say, hey, Michael, listen, I don't work for anybody else, but I am just doing my Uber and Lyft. I'm working in a restaurant. Should I be worried?
Yeah, you should be worried. You should be worried because, look, if people don't have jobs, they don't have disposable income. They're not going to the restaurants.
Right.
Right? So if they're not going to the restaurants, that business is going to suffer that you're working for.
Right.
So say you need to figure out where you work, what basically industry it's in, and you got to figure out, hey, how can this impact?
Okay, so basically disposable income is that income when you have extra money lying around and you don't feel any obligation or fear that I'm going to take my family out for 2 nights dinner and it doesn't affect me.
Exactly.
But that's going to change or has been changing already.
Right, based on these numbers we see today. That's why you saw the market just cave.
So basically আপনারা যারা শুনছেন আপনার যদি কাজ থেকে থাকে আপনি don't change your job right now. This is not the right time. That's what Michael is saying. at the same time আপনি হয়তো বলবেন ও আমি তো উবার চালাই আই এম লিফট আই ডোন্ট ওয়ার্ক ইন দ্য অফিস আমার জন্য কি I'm not going to lose my job কিন্তু মনে রাখবেন যারা অফিসে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer যারা হাসপাতালে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer they are going to college they are your customer তার যারা বিভিন্ন ক্লাবে যাচ্ছেন or পার্টিতে যাচ্ছেন they are your customer তারা যদি they stop going তখন কিন্তু you will not going to have this customer so ultimately it will have effect on you as well.
Yeah, it will have you effect because the person instead of taking an Uber to work, right, they might take the subway.
Correct.
Because they don't have any money anymore.
Right.
Or they're so
or they will try to save money even if they have some.
Correct.
They will say, you know what, I got to be careful.
Right. And the next thing I want to talk about is what is basically the Fed going to do? This is going to force the Fed to cut the rates.
Right. So remember, আপনারা যারা আজকের অনুষ্ঠানটি দেখছেন অনেকে মনে করবেন a lot of people will think, okay, he's a CPA, why is he talking about this? This is a financial advice so that you understand the situation that we are in today. Maybe it's not for 1 month, 2 months. Hopefully it is, but it could be a little bit longer.
Right. So if the Feds are now forced in September 18th to cut the rate, what does that do? That's actually trying to make the economy start up again, right?
Stimulate.
Right?
Yes.
So it's going to help the people buying the houses, but it's also going to help put money in the economy, right? And for these businesses to expand, which means to hire more people.
নিউ ইয়র্ক থেকে সম্প্রচারিত TVN 24 টেলিভিশন বিশ্বজুড়ে বাঙালির কণ্ঠস্বর।